18-year-old Katrina Sarkisian had everything a teenage girl could wish for. She was blessed with both beauty and money. Katrina lived in a wealthy Los Angeles neighborhood with her mother, Angelique Bernstein, and her younger half-sister, 15-year-old Sabrina Bernstein. By all accounts, Angelique spoiled her daughters rotten and overindulged them with all the luxuries money can buy. Growing up, Katrina was a fairly normal child, but by the 8th grade, things started to take turn for the worse. She became increasingly angry, started missing class, and having confrontational episodes with other students. She also began abusing drugs and alcohol. Shortly after withdrawing from Harvard-Westlake, the most prestigious school in the city, Katrina was sent to a therapeutic residential facility in Utah, where she was involved in more altercations with girls and attempted to run away. Her mother decided to bring her back home for good, despite the school's recommended stay of 9 months to a year. After a therapist recommended that Katrina attend Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, her mother responded that she would not allow her daughter to associate with low life. Eventually, Katrina dropped out of high school at the age of 16. While being homeschooled by Angelique, she would sleep all day and party all night. She was put on antidepressants for a sleep disorder, when in all likelihood she just wanted to go to clubs and parties every night. She had also recently begun sneaking out of the house and engaging in indiscriminate sexual activity. Katrina had even assaulted her own mother on multiple occasions in the family home. It seems that Katrina was a textbook case of a child who needed parental guidance, but was instead allowed to do whatever she wanted. On the other side of town, 15-year-old Deanna Maran was the antithesis of Katrina. She was a student at Santa Monica High, where she excelled academically and had many friends. Deanna was extraordinarily gifted at writing. She was also a great athlete and played on the school's volleyball, track, and water polo teams. Deanna came from a loving family. Both of her parents were hardworking immigrants. Her friends called her Daring Deanna because she was known to always stand up for what is right, which sadly may have been her downfall. Events of November 17th through 18th, 2001. On November 17th, 2001, high schoolers from all over town arrived at a party in Westwood. No parents were home. Approximately 40 high school-aged kids flooded the house and yard, drinking alcohol and smoking dope with no adult supervision. What could possibly go wrong? Deanna Maran honned off a bus with a couple of her male friends. Sabrina Bernstein also arrived at the party with her friends. Deanna soon noticed Sabrina chasing a boy through the yard and breaking potted plants. This didn't sit well with Deanna. She confronted Sabrina about it and told her to chill out and stop breaking stuff. The two girls got into a brief shoving match, leaving Sabrina on the ground and in tears. Humiliated, Sabrina went to a corner of the yard and called her big sister, Katrina. As the party began breaking up, Deanna and others waited in front of the house for their rides. Suddenly, a white car pulled up and out marched Katrina. "Who pushed my sister?" she shouted. Deanna bravely raised her hand and said, "It was me." The confrontation remained verbal for several minutes until onlookers began chanting for the two girls to fight. Katrina quickly punched Deanna in the chest, and the sisters ran back to Katrina's car and drove off. Deanna stumbled and leaned against a tree, staring off into space and gasping for air. Once the terrified teen witnesses realized Deanna was bleeding, they didn't call 911, a fatal mistake. Instead, they panicked and drove her to Santa Monica Hospital, where she was pronounced dead. None of the witnesses ever saw a knife during the confrontation. How was this possible? Authorities later determined that Katrina had stabbed Deanna through the heart with a T-shaped punch knife, a knife that's purpose is to be concealed in someone's hand. The next day at around 2 p.m., Katrina Sarkisian and Sabrina Bernstein were picked up from their home by two detectives from the LAPD. During their interrogation, Katrina's speech began to slur, and she told the detectives that she felt sleepy. It didn't take long before Katrina suddenly collapsed and stopped breathing. Little did the detectives know that Katrina wasn't just evading their questions, she was committing suicide. One can only imagine this young girl sitting in her room, feeling so tormented by whatever occurred at that party in her mind, that she decides to down an entire bottle of pills. Consumed with guilt, Katrina had taken 43 of her prescribed antidepressant pills that morning. Half that dose is lethal, and just like her victim Deanna, no one could save Katrina. Within a span of not even 24 hours, two sets of parents have lost their daughters. It's truly unimaginable. Nobody could imagine that what started out as a typical Saturday night would end with two girls dead. All the warning signs were there, yet Katrina's rage was never dealt with, and it ended in an unspeakable tragedy.